invite you all to, the first ever episode this year. Yeah, 2019, awesome things, and I promise you, this season is gonna be amazing. And today, kicking off our first ever new branding and the new name, new excitement, new things, awesome things. I've got a very special guest in here, and my friend here, Samantha Mudiwa. She's all my days. You guys know already what she's got. She got so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and hello.
Hi.
Nice
Thank
to
you
see
so much for having me on the show.
So can you just tell more about yourself,
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Samantha. I currently work as a biomedical scientist in a hospital. In the process of moving to a new job, by God's grace. I serve in my local church in Sheffield, Kingdom Culture Movement.
Okay. Wow.
Serve as one of the leaders in the branch.
Wow.
I also serve as the National Worship Director in Kingdom Culture Movement, which is honestly, it's a blessing to serve, and it is a privilege to have such a big role and a big position of influence. And I've also started a property management company, Excellence in Property.
One of many things.
Yeah, so we're going to be launching that in 2019 and doing a lot more work with that.
Yeah.
So busy schedule, but so happy.
Wow.
Yeah. Content.
So today we got something fresh to talk about, but so one thing I know about life is that there's always a journey, right?
Yeah.
You don't just wake up one day and become somebody great.
Yeah.
It takes a little journey, and we're gonna talk about becoming, what it means to become something, what it takes to become, and what you need to do to become whatever you need to be, in your life, and especially if you're of Christianity, what it takes for you to actually walk in your purpose and your destiny and what you need to be. So, what does it mean when you hear the word becoming? What goes through your mind? What do you think of? How would you break it down? Break it down.
How would I break it down?
Yeah,
Wow.
okay.
So the process of becoming, for me personally, I see it as a season in your life where you're in transition.
Okay.
So we're all born, and we're all born with a purpose. We're all born with a vision, with a dream and an idea. There was an idea in God's heart before we were born. But in the transition of that birth and in the place of prominence and the fullest expression of that purpose is being expressed in the world, there is a process, and that process to me I think of as the process of becoming.
Wow.
And so this is the time in your life where you're prepared, time in your life where you learn. It's kind of like the training ring. It's the place where God can strengthen your arm for battle, where He can inspire you, encourage you, equip you with everything that you need to become, to fulfill everything that He's created you to.
That's amazing.
fulfill.
Wow. So I can tell that you're a very great woman. He is. Yeah, accept it. But yeah, so from the biblical perspective, can you give us a few examples of men and women that their journey, their story, inspire you to actually want to become someone more than what we see now? It's like maybe next 20 years, what are the stories of women from the Bible, or men that actually inspired you?
Yeah, I think one person that has been quite prominent, actually there's two people. So the first person that I think for me personally has been quite prominent in the whole idea of becoming is Queen Esther.
Wow.
When you look at this, this young girl, she was normal like everybody else. She maybe had a very sheltered upbringing. We know that she was raised by her cousin Mordecai. But then in the process of, in the whole season of just being a young person, she has this experience where she has to go into the palace of the king of the time. And whilst she was in that palace, she went through a process. And you see that it's only when she went through that process of becoming beautification, where she had to go through a process of dying, when they had to cleanse her in myrrh. It's only after she'd gone through that process that she could fulfill her calling, which was in essence to save the nation of Israel, the children of God. And where God could trust her with such a big responsibility. So the process is important. The process, especially when you engage with it, is important. Second person for me would be King David.
My mind,
would be King David. So shepherd boy. His family despise him. His dad didn't even remember he was there, or didn't even consider him when the prophet Samuel came. But we see that Samuel found him in the wilderness, in obscurity, and anointed him to be king. But then before he got to that position of kingship, he had to go through his own process, where he was rejected, where he was hunted, they tried to kill him, and when things weren't working out basically for him. And it's only after he'd gone through that process that I personally believe he could have handled and managed the position that God had prepared for him. So they really inspire me as two characters that are.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because I love David. Very very interesting human individual.
Yeah.
Like he's real man, he's a real guy.
Yeah.
Shows how you can be nobody.
Yeah.
Or it can take you from being a nobody to a somebody.
When you go through the process, when you become. Yeah. And I think what's difficult for young people especially is just embracing the season of obscurity. When there's nothing happening. And I think especially for young people that are very ambitious. Like I know I'm a very ambitious person. And there's times when I can get antsy, like, okay, God, what? Like, can you just get this thing moving already? But I get that the process of becoming, the process where you're being incubated, where you're being almost sheltered, gives God the opportunity to work on characteristics that you would not want amplified on any platform. Once you're there, you can't go back. I mean, once there's a what's it called? A scandal. These big preachers or politicians, you can't take it back. But if you embrace that season of becoming, the process that God wants to put you through, you can avoid all of that, and you can actually go on to do even more impactful things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wow. Wow. It's amazing how you're very young but yet very wise,
It's the Holy Ghost.
It's the Holy Ghost. Okay. At least we know it's the Holy Ghost, Yeah, so practically from your experience, what did it take you to become, the worship director of the ministry you serve in, and being able to also run a business and being the person that you are? What was the process like for you? Because I know there could be a young lady out there, a young man, who say, okay, she sounds so good all of a sudden, but I want to know how she got there practically. What did she do? What mindset did she need to have? What are the things that she had to do? Like, was she ever covered? Was she ever mentored? Was she ever sheltered? What are the things that helped you to get here?
I think maybe one of the most important things, which was quite foundational for me, is the moment that I gave my life to Christ. And I feel like when you give your life to Christ, when you have a relationship with God, it covers so many aspects of who you are as a person. So who are you when you don't have a title? Who are you when you don't have, responsibilities? Who are you when you don't have a position? Or even who are you when you don't have the label of a gender as a female or a man? So I feel like I really found myself in Christ. I found my identity. I found that I have worth, that I have value. And it's difficult to inspire someone or to encourage someone who doesn't rate themselves, who don't rate themselves, who don't really think much of themselves. So the foundation really had to be Christ. The foundation and my identity had to come from God. And I also think that just the innocence and the purity of wanting to know him, not necessarily for what he can give me, but for who he is. Just the simplicity of relationship, I think, gave me an amazing foundation. I mean, I was saved when I was 15 years old.
I wish I was still that.
So I was saved when I was 15. I was still a child, and I feel like I just grew up in God, and that I can't equate anything to that. No. And you can't swap it for anything. There's nothing that can really take the place of relationship with God. And it's something that I'm still clinging on to now. So I'd say relationship with God. Second thing that I think has been quite pivotal for me has been mentorship. So just having relationships with people who are doing something significant with their lives. One of the things that I think is actually very important is to always remain inspired. And there's so many ways that you can be inspired. And one of the main ways is if you have inspirational people around you. So men and women who are married and their marriage is working, men and women who are serving God, men and women that are serving God, and you can see that they are giving their entire life to it. It makes it easy. All you have to do is copy what they're doing. Men and women that are in business, people that are doing the things that you know God has called you to do, people that are singing, worshiping, etc. Having those inspirational role models has really helped me, and I know that's something that's really impacted me. Another thing that I think has been really impactful for me and that I can't take away is education and knowledge. And I strongly believe that knowledge is power. Knowledge will empower you. Education will empower you. And I'm not just talking about going to school and going to university, which I think are great.
Thank you for explaining that.
So you're not just going to school and going to uni. So you may not have gone to school or had an education, but we have the internet. We have access to so many things. There's so many books, and I grew up reading a lot. Like I used to read a lot of like stories, like Hunger Games and Harry Potter, whatever. I used to read a lot of books, but unfortunately, when I went to uni, I actually kind of stopped reading outside of my field. And it's only maybe in the last few years that I've started to read a lot more. One of the books that I actually have started reading, which is really good, is A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
And one thing I realized after reading this book is that when you read certain books, especially books that are written well, it increases your IQ. So one of the problems that I found with this particular book was that I was reading one page and then I'd have to